Question number 4, Andrew Little.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. When he said that New Zealand is, quotes, on the cusp of something special, end quotes, did he mean 6% unemployment and 11,000 jobs lost in the last quarter?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Actually, in retrospect, I was referring to things like the government getting the books back in surplus, concluding a free trade agreement covering 40% of the world's economy, seeing the record levels of tourism, creating an ocean sanctuary in the Kermadex, giving under-13s free doctors' visits, signing an FTA with Korea, and joining the WTO government procurement agreement to give New Zealand firms access to 1.7 trillion of potential government contracts. All of these things will help New Zealand up to succeed as a prosperous trading nation, not just this year, but well out into the future.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
How can he be surprised that he has lost 11,000 jobs in the last 3 months when he refuses to back Kiwi jobs when spending $39 billion of taxpayers' money?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
One of the fastest ways to pack Kiwi jobs would be to say that the member would support the government in signing a free trade agreement with 40% of the global economy that sees a 93% elimination of tariffs and worth nearly $3 billion to New Zealand.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question. Order.
What?
Order. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why doesn't his government make job creation in New Zealand a priority when spending $39 billion of taxpayers' money?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it is a priority, and that's why over the last 3 years the number of working people has gone up by 160,000 and the number of people on work has gone down by 19,000. Mr. Speaker, we have one of the higher levels of employment, one of the higher levels of participation around the developed world.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, sir. To the Prime Minister, what steps is the government taking to support more jobs and higher incomes?
Speaker,
the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Firstly, it's important to understand the government doesn't create jobs, businesses do that. We've taken several steps to help them do that. For example, we've reduced tax on work to encourage more jobs and increase take-home pay. We've introduced a 90-day trial to encourage businesses to hire new staff. We're controlling government expenditure, which helps to keep pressure off interest rates. And we've negotiated New Zealand's biggest trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, to support more jobs and diversify the economy. Every one of these measures has a common theme, Mr. Speaker. They are all opposed by the Labour Party.
That's right. Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Does he agree with Steel Construction New Zealand that the, quotes, inevitable outcome, end quotes, of his government's approach to procurement is that, quotes, local industry is disadvantaged, end quotes, and is that why Glenbrook Steel Mill may now need to cut 1,000 Kiwi jobs?
Yeah, that's right.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think either of those statements are correct. In fact, if the member looks at the Trans-Pacific Partnership, what it does do is open up much greater and less protected access to New Zealand companies to procurement all around the world for government contracts as part of TPP. Mr. Speaker, we encourage New Zealand companies to be involved, and we've done lots of things. The IRD new computer system is being divided in a way which will make it much more accessible for Kiwis to actually get a chance for that.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Tim McIndoe.
Thank you, sir. How has the New Zealand labour market responded to improving economic conditions over the past 3 years?
The Right Honourable
Speaker,
Prime Minister.
In the last 3 years alone, the number of working people has gone up by 160,000. The number of people out of work has gone down by 19,000. The labour force participation rate has increased strongly and at 68.6% remains near record levels. The unemployment rate has dropped by 1.2 percentage points and the average wage has increased by around about 8% compared to inflation of under 3%. So overall, the labour markets have improved, leaving more New Zealanders in jobs and on average with higher incomes.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Andrew Little.
Why doesn't he stop being so gutless and failing New Zealanders and stand up for New Zealanders on Christmas Island and the 151,000 who are now out of work under his government?
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we do stand up for people and their rights, but we also have a responsibility to protect New Zealanders. Mr. Speaker, the record, as I just read out, stands for itself. In the last 3 years, 160,000 more people are in work. I know it's very inconvenient for the Labour Party, didn't quite fit in with the speech on Sunday, but actually more New Zealanders are in work than before.
Question number 5.